What is up, everybody? This is my second video. Hopefully I have many more. I still don't have a setup or anything, but the next boxing story I thought I'd talk about is the possibility of seeing Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua have a rematch. Joshua's obviously in a bit of a rough place considering he's lost to Usyk twice in a row now. He's lost 3 out of his last 4. No, that's wrong. He beat Kubrat Pulev. But before Kubrat Pulev, he beat Andy Ruiz in a 12-round unanimous decision in Saudi Arabia. And since then, since the original Andy Ruiz defeat that AJ suffered, he's not the same fighter. And I think a lot of boxing fans will agree with me here. He doesn't pull the trigger like he did before because he's afraid of what happened to him in that first Ruiz fight. Remember, the first Ruiz fight, we get to round 3, right? Joshua drops him, and we're all thinking this is going to be another easy night for AJ. And it did not go that way because what Joshua did was he attacked and he tried to finish off a hurt fighter in Andy Ruiz, who has faster hands than him, and Andy Ruiz caught him right on the temple, and Joshua's legs went, and the whole fight pretty much explains itself after that. Joshua got knocked down, I believe, 4 times until it was finally stopped. He beat Ruiz in the rematch. He annihilates Kubrat Pulev in a fight we all knew he was going to win. And then it's Alexander Usyk, a man who was very much underrated going into that first fight. No one was really... People were giving Usyk a chance, but Joshua was the pretty heavy favorite. And Usyk didn't just beat him, he utterly schooled him over 12 rounds. Just totally outboxed him. Joshua was completely... He almost got knocked out at the end. There's actually a theory that they stopped at 5 seconds before the bell when Joshua was about to go down. That the ref saved Joshua's ass in that 12th round. And if you watch the timing of when the tap, tap, tap noise goes for 10 seconds left in the round and when they stopped it, Joshua was completely out of it. He was done. And in the second fight, many people eventually at that point had learned their lesson from the first fight, and Usyk was... almost everyone was picking Usyk to do the same thing. And while Joshua did have a better performance in the second fight, he definitely struggled. Still, he had the same issues against Usyk that he did before. He did hurt Usyk, though. And that's the thing with Joshua. He's got the power, and he can beat anybody on the right night. But Usyk comfortably won again on the cards. It shouldn't have. One judge gave it for Joshua, which is absolutely mind-boggling because Usyk won clearly again. And Usyk, we'll see who he fights next. But as for Joshua, it's looking like, according to Eddie Hearn, he's going to be fighting the winner of Dillian Whyte and Jermaine Franklin. So I expect Dillian Whyte to be able to get by Jermaine Franklin. So if that sets up a rematch between those two, it could be a really good comeback fight. But it's also a dangerous fight for Anthony Joshua. Because that first fight where those two fought, they traded. Those two traded in that first fight. Joshua got the win, but Whyte had him rocked. Whyte had him rocked in that fight. And even though Whyte's coming off his loss to Tyson Fury, Whyte is no joke of an opponent for anybody. He's a dangerous man. You saw what he did to Lucas Brown. I mean, he absolutely laid him out cold. He's got power in that right hand. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting fight. And Dillian Whyte said today that he thought Joshua was spaced out. He was spaced out completely. The way he's talking, he seems like he's not, his head isn't in it like it once was. And that's a shame. And I think Dillian Whyte actually makes a very good point. Joshua's been acting erratic. He's been acting strange. He's been saying weird things in the media. His beef with Robert Garcia seems to have gone public. He could even be getting a new trainer. I heard Roy Jones might be interested in training him. But, yeah, Joshua's he cannot lose again, because it's over for him if he does, really. And obviously, I think some of it might have to do with the Tyson Fury fight falling apart again with Joshua. Those two couldn't come to an agreement. Yeah, so Joshua Dillian Whyte. I'm not going to make a prediction for that fight yet because Dillian Whyte still has to get by Jermaine Franklin. I want to show Jermaine Franklin his respect that he thoroughly deserves as an opponent. And because, look, Povetkin, no one gave Povetkin a chance against Whyte, and he landed that monster uppercut and laid him out. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think Dillian Whyte makes a really good point that Anthony Joshua is acting very erratic. And I think Dillian Whyte would be fighting a Joshua that is at his most vulnerable compared to when he fought Joshua in 2015. When Joshua was on his come up. Both of them were on their come up. Both of them were undefeated. And, yeah, I think Dillian Whyte makes a really good point. That he's acting so weird. Ever since that weird post-fight interview where he was chatting all kinds of nonsense about, like, whatever. I mean, it was bizarre. And, yeah, I think Dillian Whyte, if he's going to beat Anthony Joshua, he's fighting the most vulnerable AJ there's ever been.